I'm Dan Howley, father of Ryan. Well, I want to start by saying, before I talk about Natalie and Ryan, that this is a big occasion for the Howley family. My father had 8 children and 31 grandchildren, and Natalie is the first to get married. This is the beginning of a long run. We have 2 people out in the audience, or 2 couples who are next in line. My son Dan and Kathy. And then we have my nephew Mike, Hallie, and Kendra. They're really on deck for Thanksgiving. And then we'll have 28 others coming down the line. Now, last night we had a lot of good speeches at the rehearsal dinner, and if you weren't there, they're on YouTube, I understand. And they all clearly established the point that Ryan and Natalie are wonderful people. There wasn't a dry eye in the place. So I'm going to consider that a given and not belabor that point, and maybe bring up a few other issues that haven't been discussed. But I'll start by saying that of my 7 siblings, all but Mark is here. And of my wife's 6, everyone's here. Before we leave Mark, though, just a word about him since he's somewhat noteworthy. Mark, I think we all would agree, he's the best bag salesman we know. You can go into a room with Mark not even knowing you want to buy a bag and come out with it. Mark's oldest of 5 daughters, Bridget, is going to college for the first weekend, so he felt he needed to be there. We consider it a rather lame excuse. We'll accept it. Well, when Mark heard I have 220 luminaries to talk to, he asked me to mention the thought that he ended my father's eulogy with, which is that if anyone out here has any unmet packaging needs, he can be reached at www.pacificbag.com. And you mentioned, you heard it here, there's a 3% discount. So, now let's move on to Natalie. We'll give a quick resume of Natalie, and I'll, as you know, brag about my children forever, but we'll get the good stuff away quickly, since that was handled well last night. Natalie was valedictorian of her high school. She has a few track records still. She went to Middlebury and picked the correct major, which is math, and did very well there. She worked for a company that supplied nuclear weapons information to the government. She went back to Princeton, which is not where she met Ryan. And now she's worked for the government for a couple of years. She got to go to many wonderful places. Natalie went to Afghanistan for about 4 or 5 months last year and came back about 20 pounds lighter. But to bring up some things you may not know, Natalie began her life with superlatives. She was the fattest child born at the Duke Hospital nursery, weighing in at 10 pounds, 10 ounces. My wife, be congratulated. She lost weight and didn't reach that weight again until she was in 2nd grade. But the next thing she did that really we're proud of is when I was down at Duke, they would have house staff wives parties, which were mainly, that's when all the house staff were men, of course. That was mainly competitive child raising. And we had Natalie sitting on the ground one day at 8.5 months, and some woman said to Breyer that it was unfortunate that Natalie wasn't crawling, insinuating that we were some type of inferior stock, I guess. At this point, Natalie stood up and walked across the ground, and proving the old medical fact that the sooner your child walks, the smarter the parents. Our next high point was in about 8 years of age, before Easter one year. She actually saw the Easter bunny. She swore to this. She said it was about 6'2", perhaps a premonition of Ryan. And it was purple, and she told Meredith, who believed everything that the big sister told her. And we think that's why Meredith believed in Easter Bunny so phenomenally. In fact, she took a comparative religion course at Hamilton and asked the professor why they hadn't covered the Easter Bunny. And was told that Natalie, in fact, lied to her. So, the next high point was Natalie, a good shepherd, playing basketball, won the award for the girls who run the fastest during layup directly into the wall without slowing down. The famous one, of course, is in high school. Natalie won Most Improved Basketball Player 2 years in a row. Which is hard to do. And then the last one that she's, I'm sure, will know I brought up is Natalie on the way home from school. Dan was driving, Meredith was sitting in the back seat. And Natalie opined that it was unfortunate that her grandmother, my mother, had died by being tragically struck by a football on the side of the head. We said that would have been a shame, but it was more the colon cancer. But we're not sure how she kept that in there for 17 years and kept going by it in her mind saying, yeah, that's a good theory. Stick with that one. But whatever. Now we'll move on to Ryan. We don't know all these details about Ryan, but my brothers and I have discussed him a lot because we have many other would-be son-in-laws coming into the family. The first thing we liked about Ryan was he was tall. We clearly need height in this family. I appreciate that. But he's also athletic. They tell me he can pitch well. I've never actually seen it. But I did play football with him on the beach, and I figured he probably sucked because he was a baseball player. But in fact, he's good. He seems to have a general level of athleticism that we're all for. Next is he's apparently smart. He went to Princeton, which impresses me. I challenge anyone here to have been rejected from the Ivy League schools, and I've been. At multiple levels of education. University of Pennsylvania, who let my friend Vic in, I don't know why, but they rejected me from 4 levels of it. And Princeton apparently heard that I applied to U of Penn 4 times and rejected me before I submitted an application. But we've been impressed with it. The other was an interesting drinking fact about Ryan. Ryan was over in Europe, and he had a beard there. Apparently looked quite sexy. And Meredith and Samantha, my 2 daughters, went over, and they told me that when they arrived, Ryan was a bit intoxicated. And I said, what was he like when he was drunk? And they said he was really quiet.
You're kidding.
Now, I talked this over with my brothers, who decided that were we to spend a week with our in-laws in Europe, we might have a drink or 2 also. But then we talked about this getting drunk and quiet issue. Though Briar's brought up a few times I drank too much, rarely has she said, Dan, you drank too much. You embarrassed us all because you were so damn quiet. A number of my brothers and I are taking this under advisement, and we're going to go for this quiet but drunk approach. Perhaps next weekend. Then the next was dancing skills. A year and a half ago, we were actually very fortunate to have all 5 children decide to do New Year's Eve with us, and we did down at the sanctuary, which was really nice, and all their significant others came, including Ryan. Sam didn't seem to be able to get a date. Regardless. And Ryan really danced well. We were impressed. But I have to say, he really brings nothing to the dancing skills. When you see my brother Nick and Andy out here later, you see they are serious dancers and really Ryan's pale. But all kidding aside, we couldn't think of a better son-in-law, and we couldn't think of a better family than the Quillians. And I'd like to toast Natalie and Ryan.